Hi there, I'm Stefan Szkwarek, and I am a license upgrade candidate for the CONCACAF A license. Today, we are going to be talking about safe sport and its importance, and as part of Task 6, my safe sport audit. I'm a former president of a soccer club. I'm also a former technical director of that same soccer club. So I fully recognize the importance of safe sport and why it's vital for player development purposes and for athlete well-being. This is a topic that's quite near and dear to my heart, and I'm hoping that this is going to be a good uncovering of why that is. For the agenda today, first and foremost, we're going to talk about the importance of safe sport and why it plays a major part in terms of player development and on-field activities. Then we're going to touch on respect in sport, which is the other half of safe sport. They're very similar. They are related, but they are different, and they deal with different things in terms of sport. Then I'm going to talk about the environments I've been coaching in, the two clubs I've been coaching at specifically, and we're going to overview some of their policy documents in terms of safe sport and respect in sport, followed by a look at the provincial body under which I operate, which is BC Soccer. At the end, we're going to talk about the personal reflection that I've had regarding safe sport, identify what gaps there are in the environments that I'm working at, how I can work to help improve those gaps, and how to make sure that leaders are aware when safe sport measures are not being enacted properly. And we're going to close with a conclusion. So Safe Sport is a pretty much a mandated program throughout Canadian sport. It's mandated through organizations such as NCCP and the Government of Canada's Ministry of Sport. But most clubs, no matter what the sport, enact this for the simple reason that it's about creating an environment where all players, especially youth, can participate in a harm-free, abuse-free, discrimination-free, and neglect-free environment. It's important in a variety of ways. First and foremost, to protect athlete well-being. Everybody sends their kids off to sports. You want to make sure that the kids are taken care of properly and in a safe environment. Secondly, it's to promote respect and inclusion. And on the respect and sport piece, we're going to talk about that in the next slide. But feeling included in an organization, no matter where you come from, what your background is vital so that you can feel that you can operate in a safe space. What that basically entails is that you can work in a high trust environment as well. Trust is the foundation of anything we do, especially in organizations. If an organization has broken trust by not allowing for a safe environment for players, it's very hard to get that back. So that is why it's vital that organizations ensure that they have the policies in place, the key stakeholders in place, and the policies are enforced by these stakeholders to build trust amongst their membership. Of course, being safe is important, but we are there to ensure athlete development. Athletes cannot develop if they are not in a safe environment, if they're being harassed or bullied based on their creed or gender. It is going to detract from their overall athlete development. So that is a key cog in the athlete development wheel. Safe sport is, of course, not just words. They're a set of standards, and to hold people accountable when standards are broken. It is vital that we have an accountability matrix so that when things go awry, people can learn from their shortcomings. Respect in sport is we'll say the twin brother of safe sport. It differs slightly in that it deals more with the day-to-day interaction. So safe sport talks about, somebody comes from a different country, they have a different cultural background. We have to respect their culture to make sure that they feel safe and included. In terms of respect in sport, this can be between any two individuals, speaking to each other in a respectful manner, respecting each other's boundaries, and these sorts of things. What it is basically trying to do is promote positive behavior, protect participants from poor behaviors, and educate key groups in terms of what is respectful behavior amongst themselves so that they can make sure that everyone can feel respected and included. It does support safe sport goals, but in a slightly different way. And overall, respect in sport and safe sport are there to enhance the sporting experience for everyone participating. So the club I mostly been coaching at over the last 10 years is Comox Valley United. I was the technical director for about a year and a half, and then I moved into the president role. Both volunteer roles within the club at the time. We now have full-time staff doing the technical director job, but it was something that was very important to me as the president to make sure that safe sport was held close to heart. These are some of the policies that we have ensured that are in place in our club. So, a code of conduct, making sure that everybody in the club understands what they're supposed to be doing and how they're supposed to be interacting, whether that be players to coaches, coaches to parents, parents to technical staff to board members, everybody to referees. There's a code of conduct that covers that. Guidelines for adults interacting with children in sport. And that covers a lot of things like steps for reporting sexual abuse, which there's a policy for, reporting sexual abuse and misconduct, and reporting inappropriate conduct. These are vital things that people understand what to do. Um, the Soccer Canada Rule of Two is a very large part of this. Um, and just to take a second, the rule of two is not just there to protect children, it's also there to protect coaches. Um, there could be some malicious behavior from families, and making sure that there's two honest brokers in any situation is there to protect the coach from false allegations and the like. Some other small things, the concussion awareness training and concussion information. That's very important to make sure that coaches understand the implications of head injuries. Those of us that are older, we played through many concussions, and it's probably not good for our long-term brain health. But that's why things like making headway, which is the last piece, is readily available on the Comox Valley United website. I've been also coaching within the Tier 1 program at Nanaimo United for since the program's inception. Very similar look and feel to Comox Valley United. Coach safety education, which points you to BC Soccer. And we'll talk about that in a second. The rule of two policy, we touched on that already. It's very important that coaches understand what their requirements are for rule of two and why it's so important to follow it. Committing to kids is another aspect of their policies. This is something that, basically it's almost like a manifesto to make sure that kids feel safe in all walks throughout the soccer club in Nanaimo. They also have a concussion management policy and also a respect group for within the BC Soccer Pantheon. Moving forward to the BC Soccer Safe Sport portal, this is a much more all-encompassing site for safe sport in BC. Here, this is where things like enforcement come in. So number one, a way to report abuse. Safe sport complaints are taken very seriously by our governing body. Um, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, but by and large, if there's a bona fide safe sport event or infraction, then the governing body does get involved through, third party investigation, um, and that's easily accessible through the website. Policies on risk management and criminal record checks. All clubs, Nanaimo United, Comox Valley United, you can't coach without a criminal record check, and policies held at the provincial level enforce that. Um, Also some education about safety and how to respond to inappropriate behavior. Overall, BC Soccer's safety portal is housed in one place, and it's quite all encompassing. Um, Whether or not it's followed to a T in all situations, and we're going to get into that in a second. By and large, it is followed by the provincial association. So in doing my safe sport audit, by and large, clubs and sport organizations, they publish relevant documents on their websites so that people have access to policies and to the courses that they require. So that's safe sport and respected sport. One thing I notice is that, looking at the two clubs I work at and looking at some other clubs too, it might be an idea for things to be housed in one place rather than having to look all over the website for relevant documents. They typically are a little bit scattered and not really organized in an appropriate fashion all the time. Comox has done a good job of housing this in one spot. But clubs out there, you'll have a different portal for respect in sport and safe sport where really they're a pair. So um, this being said, the number one thing that I feel within safe sport and respect in sport that is not really held to the standard that it needs to is enforcement. There are lots of examples in BC soccer over the last 20 years where bona fide complaints don't get handled properly, or without throwing accusations out there, people that are connected don't necessarily get uh, punished in the same manner. Things are getting a lot better. The real serious is things they certainly get handled appropriately, but the mid-level things, I think they still have a ways to go. I had a situation with myself a few years ago. I won't get into details here, but basically it was sort of brushed under the rug. I was asking some questions to our governing body, and the Upper Island Soccer Association, and people there didn't like the questions, and it turned into a bit of an incident. And Effectively, my concerns about this were never addressed by BC Soccer. While there has been a big improvement at the really serious types, and as there should be, I think when we're talking about safe sport, respect in sport, I think all complaints that are valid should be dealt with, and people that have crossed the line should be held accountable. On that note, throughout my experience, I felt that whistleblowers have been punished sometimes. I felt the wrath on a couple occasions because of this. Basically, people in charge don't want to hear about problems, and it's a shame because when people bring you problems as a leader, and I've been in many leadership positions, it means they trust you and they are asking for assistance, and it's your responsibility. You're really their servant. You're there to serve the people that you're in charge of. Um, and Unfortunately, right now in sport, we see it up and down the chain, all the way to the top of FIFA. That there are often uh, ethics and values that aren't held consistently, and people get away with maybe not murder, but definitely some corruption. And it's something that we have to be careful of, especially in a safe sport environment. So moving forward, I've kind of in the near term, I've taken a step back from leadership roles, but I'm not entirely confident that the system will change on its own. So I'm going to re-enter the leadership of a club or a regional association or provincial association at some point when I'm able to. Um, so the organizations I've worked in the past, I've done a pretty good job, but I feel like when complaints kind of ruffle feathers, that sometimes people don't want to be held accountable. That's got to change. Um, and moving forward, I'm going to continue be a voice of advocacy for safe sport, for respect in sport, to ensure that kids, coaches, referees, parents, administrators, technical staff, all are able to operate in an environment where they feel safe and respected. Um, yeah, some people don't like to be told when they're not doing something right, but whether it's going to be in a leadership position or outside an organization, I'm going to commit to that probably in the next 12 months. So, in conclusion, to wrap this up, safe sport and respect in sport are highly necessary for ensuring that children can play the sport that they love without negative consequences or negative actions being put forward their way. Generally, clubs do a good job ensuring all items are published, but where they fall down is enforcement. Sometimes when things fall over, whistleblowers are the ones left holding the bag, which is very unfortunate. We do have to do better, and we have to continue to and can we need to do better. And while we continue to suffer the same things we've complained about forever, I do have faith that if we keep banging the drum, keep holding people accountable, that things will improve. Again, I'm Stefan Szkwarek. This video was my Safe Sport audit for the CONCACAF A license upgrade. Thank you very much.